Hello, everybody. My name is Greg Athis, and I am a member of Opportunity Speakers and Daily City Toastmasters, and I am also the Division D Director here in District 4. I am going to be your moderator for today's session. Thank you all for joining us today, Saturday. Welcome to Mentoring Through Storytelling. This session will be given by Babu Ramabadran. This webinar is being recorded. By turning on your camera or asking questions, you consent to being recorded. By District 4's option, this session may also be shared on YouTube. On the lower left-hand corner of your Zoom screen, please mute yourself and turn off your camera. You will have the opportunity to unmute and turn on your camera to applaud at the end of this webinar. Please enable Zoom's hide non-video participants in the setting as described in the slide. To enable this on most platforms, click the arrow next to the Start Video button in the lower left-hand corner of your Zoom window. This will open the video settings. Check the Hide Non-Video Participants checkbox. Later, you will have the opportunity to ask questions via our public chat. Please limit comments in the public chat to questions for the speaker. Babu Ramabadran belongs to Money Talks Toastmasters at the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. He has been a member for 10 years and has just obtained his Distinguished Toastmaster Award in May of 2020. Babu has mentored several clubs in San Francisco, including Pinterest, Okta, Mixpanel, Zoom, Blackstone, and Pivotal. He is currently serving as our mentor chair for District 4. Mentoring through storytelling. Please help me welcome Babu.
What is a blueprint? For an architect, a blueprint is everything. Without a blueprint, an architect would be lost while constructing a building. The same way, for a person, a blueprint is everything that he wants to achieve in his life. The goals, the accomplishments, whatever milestones he wants to achieve. Without a blueprint for life, a person would be lost. That is where mentoring comes in. A mentor serves to find that blueprint for anyone. Fellow Toastmasters, I'm going to talk to you today about how I found my blueprint for life and how I helped others to find theirs. I'm going to talk to you several stories, share with you several stories and experiences that I went through my life to achieve this blueprint. The first story I'm going to talk to you is during my high school junior year. We were all so scared about this chemistry class that was coming up. Our seniors have warned us that chemistry is one of the toughest subjects. To make the matters worse, we have a brand new teacher who had just graduated from college. The teacher walks into the room and he had an aura right away around him. The way he spoke, the way he made us comfortable with him made a huge difference. And he told us love story about benzene rings. And he awed us with his spectacular experiments in the lab. When everything is said and done, our high school batch had the most number of doctors and engineers. That mentee experience made a lasting impression throughout my life. we consider that teacher in high regard till today. What did I learn from that mentee experience? That I need someone, a mentor, to look up to when I want to do things in my life. The second story I want to share with you happened in my senior year in college back in India. One day, the principal called me to his office. I was so scared that I got into trouble. Once I got into his office, he asked me to be seated, and he said, "Babu, are you going home this weekend to your home?" I said, "Yes." "So I want you to do this. I want you to go to this freshman, his name is Rajan, and find out what happened. He hasn't been attending classes for the past month." I was relieved and happy at the same time. I was relieved because I did not get into trouble. I was really happy that I was going to go and find and solve this mystery about Rajan. Come the weekend, I went home. I went straight to Rajan's house and knocked on the door. A lady opened the door and I asked for Rajan. And she said, "Oh, Rajan is not back from college." That's when I had to deliver her the bad news. I told her, "Sorry to tell you that Rajan hasn't been attending classes for the past month. That's why I'm here to find out why." She was shocked and she invited me to come inside and sit down. And I told her, "Let me talk to Rajan and see what is going on." A few minutes later, Rajan walks into the door and I took him aside and told him what had happened. "Rajan, I had no choice. I had to tell your mom what happened. By the way, what happened? Why have you not been attending classes?" That's when Rajan said, "I don't like the teachers. I don't like the college environment. I don't like anything about it. So what do you want to do with your life?" He said, "Oh, I want to do like a Bachelor of Arts or Commerce." You have to remember one thing. Back in the days, this was before computers. The only option or future that you have is with either engineering or medicine. So he was doing mechanical engineering, which was one of the right choices. I told him, just bite the bullet, hang around for 4 more years, finish your degree, and then go do whatever you want with your life. So at this point, he seemed convinced that he can go back, but he was afraid to face the teachers and the principal. That's when I told him, "Do not worry, I'll talk to the principal and we'll go from there." Come Monday, I went and picked him up. We both went to the college and I dropped him at the principal's office. And then the principal said, "Babu, I got it from here on." So I left. During the course of the rest of the year, I ran into him a couple of times and said hi, and I forgot all about him. Fast forward a few years later, I moved to US for my master's, and I settled down in the Bay Area, started working. During one of my trips back home to India, I was driving through one area and suddenly remembered Rajan lived there. I thought I was curious to find out what happened. I wanted to go and check in. So I knocked on the door. His mom opens the door. She still recognized me and she was so happy to see me. She said, "Babu, Babu, come inside." So she sat me down, gave me a coffee and some snacks, and we exchanged pleasantries. That's when I asked, oh, where is Rajan, by the way? How is he doing?" And she said, "Oh, Rajan is in Netherlands. He's a software engineer. He's happily married with a kid." Toastmasters, I got to tell you, that was the best feeling I had for a long time. Now I know that I was able to serve that blueprint for someone, and it worked. You know, you want to deliver a news to somebody. You want to leave them with the feeling that they have been heard. And I was able to do that with Rajan. The next story I'm going to talk to you is about my friend Albert here in the Bay Area. Albert had just lost his job and he didn't know what to do with his future. I called Albert and said, why don't you try recruiting? And he wasn't too sure because he has never tried that before. I know he has the potential. He was just not sure what to do. I told him, why don't you apply and see what happens? A month later, I called him up and said, Albert, how is it going? Any success? And he says, no, I haven't heard from anyone. That's when I said, Albert, you need to be aggressive. You need to grab the bull by its horn. Nobody will give you a job. You need to go and get it. You can see the sparkle in his eyes. I said, okay, Babu, I'll go give it a try. A couple of weeks later, Albert calls me and said, Babu, I have great news. I've got the job. Said, that's fantastic. What did you do different this time? I took your advice. I was aggressive. I went to Robert Half. I gave my resume to them, and I wanted to see a manager right away. So a manager came in. We spoke. I gave my resume. I said, I can do this job. And he hired me on the spot. Needless to say, a few years later, Albert had stints at Google, MuleSoft, a startup, and he's a director at Facebook now. The reason I tell you is this because sometimes people do not realize their potential. You have to make them realize it and find their blueprint. Now I'm going to turn my attention towards my mentoring experiences with different clubs in San Francisco. I was a mentor for several clubs. One of the club is Mixpanel. Mixpanel is one of those new millennial companies where everyone is excited. They want to go achieve the world. And so I attended a few meetings and they were all very excited. They all gave their icebreaker speeches. That's when I noticed the president was pretty much doing everything. He was serving as sergeant of arms, bringing people in, setting up the room, sending out agenda, serving as the Toastmaster. He was doing everything. So I took him aside and I told him, Mike, you need to start delegating the work. You can't be doing all the work by yourself. Otherwise you will burn out. He said, okay. 2 weeks passed, 3 weeks passed, and I still noticed nothing has changed. Eventually, the club kind of fizzled out because Mike had left the company. Moral of the story is you have to make sure the officers do their functions properly. Toastmasters has been around for about 100 years now. And it is a well-oiled machine because there's a process. So we need to follow that process. If you follow the process, you will have success. The next story I'm going to talk to you is about Okta. Okta is again another millennial company. Everybody was interested. The club was chartered. Everybody gave their icebreaker speeches. And then the president and the VP called me up and said, what is the next step? That's when I told them, you need to get into Pathways. Everyone got into Pathways and we gave a couple of training sessions, but they were still not comfortable with Pathways. They said, this is too complicated. We can't do this, we can't do that. Just hang around with it. Needless to say, they did not hang around. The club kind of died. Moral of the story, you never know where your hurdle is going to come from. Just be prepared. The next story is with Zume. Zume is another club that was really excited. There were about 30 members who joined right away and everyone was doing great. That's when one day the president called and said 90% of the employees who were with Toastmasters have been laid off. It's one of those startup syndrome. So you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes you are it's out of your control. One other story I want to share with you is Pinterest. Pinterest is a fantastic company. The Toastmasters Club, everyone was excited. The president and the VPE were all pumped up to go, and they did all their icebreaker speeches. But instead of a handshake, they would give you a high five. They would put everything on the monitor for everyone to see. So it was a little bit different. They functioned a little bit different. But at the same time, it took me a little bit longer to get used to them, to have a rapport with the president and the VP. But once I established that, it was smooth sailing. Pinterest is a success story today. Fellow Toastmasters, the reason I want to share with you all these stories is because I went through so much to experience this, to find a blueprint. Martin Luther King said, it is everyone's responsibility to make someone else's life better. So you want to make sure at some point in your life, you want to be a mentor. You want to help someone to achieve what they want to achieve in their life. You want to soar high and fly high to achieve that. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. Whatever it takes, make sure you help in someone's life to get to where they need to go. The request for you guys today is be a mentor to someone else. Be a mentor to your club or a person to achieve whatever they want to achieve. Toastmasters is a great platform to do that. I just want to leave you with this. What is your blueprint for life? Toastmaster.
Thank you, Babu. Now, does anybody have any questions for Babu? Please post it in the chat room. I have a question for you, Babu. What was What was the earliest experience you had as a mentor, and as you would define it?
Earliest mentoring, you mean like a mentee or a mentor?
A mentor.
A mentor. Mentor, I would probably have to say with my own family, because I was the uncle. I have 4 sisters, a bunch of nephews and nieces. They all look up to me even till today. All my nephews, they were all like really little, and I was a little bit older, and so they all looked up to me. In fact, I have to share a funny story. I was traveling to New Jersey, and my nephew introduced me to his friend. So I was going to meet his friend. And when I met his friend, my nephew is almost 6 feet, and I'm 5'5", and I'm skinny, as you can tell. So my nephew's friend looks at me and says, "You're Babu? You are Sati's uncle? You are so tiny. He was so scared of you." So it doesn't matter whether you're big or small. It is the impression that you make in someone's life. So I would have to say that was my first mentoring experience.
Oh, you've got some good training, and now you're playing it forth into Toastmasters. So thank you for doing that. We have a question. How long have you worked for FRBSF?
I just finished my 10th year this April, and I've been a member of Money Talks at the Federal Reserve for almost 9.5 years. It's been a great ride.
We have a comment that you had a very inspiring speech. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Please post it. The next question is, who mentored you?
I would have to say there are several mentors in my life. That chemistry teacher that I mentioned in the first story, he was probably my first mentor. And along the way, it is to go and seek for that mentor. It is to figure out the what, the how, the who, the where. And I had a mentor in my friend in my college years. He actually, I was working in India as a lecturer in college, and I didn't know what to do. It was a private college. It was going nowhere. And that's when my friend, who had also joined along with me, had applied to the US for his master's. And one day he came and told me, I'm going to US. I was like, wow, what did you do? Can you help me do that too? And he said, okay, you need to write your TOEFL exam, you need to write your GRE, and you need to apply to all these universities with the score, and you need to get reference letters, you need to prepare your financial statement, you need to do all this. And I went ahead and did all that, and I got my admission to a master's. So he was one of my mentors. And in college years, I had other friends, my professors. In the Bay Area, I have several mentors. So that it's a lifelong process finding mentors, because if you are seeking for answers, you have to go and look for someone who can provide you that answer. I hope you answered your question.
Thank you. The next question is, how did you get the college student Rajan to bite the bullet and return to school? That is a huge ask.
Definitely, because Rajan seemed like a bright kid. Now he was still in his teenage years. He was a freshman in college. Something in him told him that, oh, I don't like this environment, because it was a new college. The facilities were not great. So he was kind of put down by that. It's like, oh, I'm not going to a prestigious college. So this college is beyond me. You know, I don't care for this college. I just want to hang around. We had a nice beach in Pondicherry. He would just go around and smoke and hang around in the beach all day, come home late at night without realizing what he was doing. So when I sat, I mean, sometimes when parents tell something to the kids, it doesn't go to their head. They always think that they're advising. But if it is someone else, someone of your own age, when they try to talk to you, it makes a huge impact. I think the way that I said it, it's like, it doesn't matter what you do. You know, you just hang around for 3 more years, 4 more years, 10 years from now, what you do now doesn't matter. But once you have the degree, which is a great thing in India to have an engineering degree, once you have that degree, it makes a huge difference in what you want to do with your life. By the time he finished his degree, computers started coming in, computer field, and he was able to, even though he studied mechanical engineering, he was able to get into software engineer and then go abroad and be in Netherlands successfully.
Okay, the next question is about your mentoring. Were you the official mentor of these clubs that you mentioned? Can one just do things to help a club, or is it more effective to be recognized as a mentor for credibility purposes, perhaps, especially if you are giving advice?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was an official mentor for all these clubs. When a club is chartered, they usually assign 2 mentors for the first 6 months. So that is when a club makes or breaks. So it is really important as a mentor, you step in and talk to mainly the officers and the members and make them feel comfortable that that is something that they can achieve. You want to talk to them in a way that it is going to help them in their professional career, in their professional development, because a lot of the companies make it a requirement to have Toastmasters in their professional development. So it is important to go in there, mentor, because you have different people. You have a coach, you have a mentor, you have the area director, everyone visiting the club to find out what exactly they need. As a mentor, it's very important that you find that right balance and talk to them and make a difference.
The next thing is a comment. She says, "Thank you. I enjoy the concept of a blueprint."
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is, do you mentor folks who report to you? If so, can you share some examples of how to mentor your staff?
Yeah, definitely. I personally, there's nobody reporting to me, at least now. In the past, they did. I used to mentor. Yes, definitely. Yeah, when somebody joins the firm, they don't know what the business is. They need to understand the technicalities. So it is important to make a good rapport with them. To give you an example, I joined as a customer acceptance engineer back in the days with a semiconductor company. And we have to entertain customers from different parts of the world, from Japan, Taiwan, Korea. And we have to qualify a wafer inspection machine. So that is a great example of when the customers come in, you make them comfortable with the machine. And at that time, we have to train other staff in showing the machine, in running tests, in helping them how to talk to the customer. So that's one great example of how you can train your staff, make them feel comfortable, make them passionate about their work.
The next question is, in addition to your speech today, what can the district do to ensure your lessons learned will help all?
That is a very good question. It is important to have mentors, two mentors, as Toastmasters calls for a club. Because sometimes one mentor is not enough. Due to circumstances, they might leave or they may not have the right chemistry with the team. If you have two mentors, you can make sure that you have a good rapport. But when you are assigned that mentoring role, make sure you attend the meetings regularly, at least for the first 6 months or once in 2 weeks or whenever. And always keep in contact with the president and the VP of education and make sure how the club is doing and meet their needs, whatever help they need. Because we have a great team of people in District 4 to help. If you can't find that answer, go talk to somebody, find that answer, and provide that answer to that club. So the first 6 months, as I said earlier, is very important. It'll make or break that club.
The next question is, how do you recommend someone to find a mentor at work in this new virtual world? We have new teammates being hired onto my team. How do you recommend establishing yourself as an unofficial mentor to them without coming across too strong?
That's a very good question. You have to find that right balance. And we live in this virtual world now where you don't see face to face, you are just over a screen sharing your ideas and thoughts. What I would suggest is use the media to its best effect. Send emails, talk to them constantly, and try to understand them, try to understand what their needs are, and try to fill their needs as needed. So you don't want to come too strong, but at the same time, as I said, you want to leave them with the feeling that you've been heard.
One of the two clubs that I'm a member of, we need a mentor. So I'll be getting in touch with you about that, with you and Jennifer.
Definitely, definitely.
Does
I'd be happy to
anybody
have.
else have any other questions? We've run out of questions for the moment. Anybody? Question? The next question is, what are mistakes that you have seen mentors make?
As on your previous question, mentors sometimes come too strong. If they come too strong, it may put off the club and they may not survive. So it is important to have that right balance when you talk to these clubs. Make sure you attend their meetings. That is very, very important. And also, I always advise them, instead of finding volunteers for each meeting, have a schedule for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even a month out and put down all the roles, because you know how many members you have. At the same time, send out an email in advance and asking them if they're going to be out of the office any day during the course of the period of the month. So if they're out, then do not assign them any roles. If everyone is free, go ahead and assign the role. That way you have a schedule and you are not scrambling to find speakers or table topics or a master evaluator. So I think that works very well with our club at Money Talks. So I suggest that to all the clubs.
I have a question. Is there any pamphlet that outlines in great detail how club mentors and clubs should interact? Because when we had a club mentor, there wasn't much of any strategy or anything. He was just basically a guest at our meetings.
That's a very good question. I will have to look and see if there's any material. I'm sure Toastmasters has a ton of material. So, I'd be happy to provide something if you can share your email ID to me.
Okay. The next question is, what is next for you? Will you be starting a blog or writing a book?
That's a very good point. I'm actually working on my memoir as we speak. I have it written down, but I want someone to rewrite it for me in a readable form. Once I have that written, I want to go and talk about it. I want to motivate people. I want to motivate youth, because that is the best we have for the future. So the youth sometimes, especially in this social media culture, are lost. They don't know what they want with their life. So I want to go and help them tell my story and see there is a hope for you guys. I'm from a village back in India. So I was able to come up in life through mentorship. And I want to go and share that same to someone else. As I said earlier, Martin Luther King said, it is your responsibility to make a difference in someone's life or future. So I want to go ahead and do that.
There's a comment in a chat where she says that there are materials on mentorship. And then the next comment is that there are mentors for new clubs, coaches for struggling clubs. I believe that if the club has less than 13 members, they're eligible to get a club mentor. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, the next question is, what about mentoring youth, mentoring kids during this visual world? Children need more in-person mentors.
Yes, I strongly agree. I strongly agree. As I said earlier, youth and children, they need mentoring right now. The latest that I want to share is I just started an organization. It has been there. It's called the Urban Garden Initiative. I live in San Ramon. I started a chapter in San Ramon. It basically conducts workshop to do gardening in your own backyard or in your school. So I think that is a great way to talk to a youth or a mentor and say, hey, you can do gardening. You can grow your own vegetables. And that's a great way for them to get them outdoors, get their hands dirty, and learn something new.
In the youth leadership program, is there a section about mentoring?
That's a very good question. I am not sure.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
What is a gavel club? A gavel club.
A gavel club. I have no idea.
I can help out, Babu. This is Jennifer.
Yes,
Okay.
So a gavel club is a club for members who are not eligible to be Toastmasters, usually for someone under the age of 18. The fees are slightly different than what we pay as Toastmasters, but it allows them to experience some of the same things that we do. They run like a club, a regular club with meetings, and they have their own officer boards. It gives the youth the opportunity to be a club. It does not count towards our district numbers if we're looking at a district being distinguished. That doesn't mean we can't do one. I'll turn it back to Babu.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great information to know. Yeah, I mean, Gavel Club, I think, would be a great way to reach to youth. Yeah, public speaking is a very powerful media. You know, if you can train a youth who is between the age of 15 to 18 to do that, that gives them the confidence that they can go and achieve whatever they want to achieve in life.
The next question is that he was asking how a gavel club connects to mentoring youth, and I think you already answered that.
But
Any more questions?
I have a question for the audience, Greg.
Yeah.
So, was my speech useful to you guys? Would anybody be interested in mentoring? If you are interested, please reach out to us, me or Jennifer or Tim or anyone of us. We would love to have you as mentors for different clubs.
Yeah, we need a mentor for one of my clubs.
Yes.
So I'll be
Please
reaching out.
Please reach out to us.
Okay.
Currently, I'm not mentoring any club. I'd love to mentor.
Anybody else with questions? We still have time here.
Just wondering, Babu, what's the easiest way to reach you?
Oh, through email.
Okay.
You can put that in the chat if you want. Yeah, it's baburam99@gmail.com.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Baburam, BABURAM 99@gmail.com.
Thank you.
Welcome.
The next question is, what do you recommend introverts can do who want to mentor?
That's a very good question. So I was reading something recently that the greatest leaders, some of the greatest leaders in our history are introverts. Introvert is, I would say, it's just a name given to people. Everyone has in them to go out and talk to people and get rid of their shyness. So it is, at the end of the day, what you want to do with your life. If you want to help somebody, if you want to go do something, I am sure you will get out of your shyness. So I'm sure you have friends, you have a circle of colleagues, family that you talk to normally. So you just need to expand that to a bigger level and go and talk to other people.
The next comment is, remember that coaches are for existing clubs. So evidently there's a difference between coaches and mentors.
Yes.
The next item, let's see, I'm getting so many of them here now. Okay, the next one is, it was helpful for me to learn the approach of the blueprint. I think I can use that in my day-to-day efforts.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And then your email address is baburam99@gmail.com.
That's correct.
The next question is, what is the best thing you have learned from being both a mentor and mentor chair?
Mentor chair, I've just started, so I don't have a whole lot of experience with being a mentor chair. This first speech would be an experience for me, which is new and exciting. As a mentor, yes, I've served for the past 4+ years as a mentor for different clubs. So it is a very exciting opportunity. You never know what you're going to get, what kind of club you're going to get. Some clubs, when they start initially, they're all excited and they want to go raring to go, and soon they get into the nitty-gritty of things and they get busy with their work and they start to lose interest. So that is when you need to know where you need to step in and make sure that they have their meetings regularly and they have their speeches and they move on to the different paths that they want to go. So it is, you have to find the right balance and make sure they're trained for pathways and they move on. So that is very, very important.
The next question is, what leaders do you look up to?
That's a very good question. I have a lot of leaders to look up to. I look up to my manager at work. I look up to several leaders at Toastmasters. They're all like great examples. Tim Carlisle is a great example. Lauren Burton. There are so many people, I can't think of it right now, but Kali Das, Jennifer, the past district leader. So I all look up to them, and they are like overachievers. They do so much besides their work. So they're multitasking and they're always helpful. And if you want to reach out to them, they are always there for you. So there are so many mentors.
The next question is, what leadership or mentoring books do you recommend that we read?
That's a very good question. I read several books. I read biographies a lot. I can relate to someone. When I read a biography, I just read Michelle Obama's Becoming. That's a very, very great book. And in general, I read Sapiens. That's recommended for everybody. Sapiens is about humans. And another author that I used to read during my youth days, and I go back and read again, is James A. Michener. He's one of the authors back from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. He talks about a particular state, for example, Alaska or Hawaii, and talks about how the land got formed and how humans evolved over the period of years till the present day. So that is a great example of humans thrive in difficult circumstances and achieve what they want to achieve.
Okay, I think we've had a good session today. It's time to wrap it up, folks, so we can take a break between sessions. So thank you everybody for coming, and thank you, Babu. And
thank you so much, Greg. Thank you everyone for attending. Hope you have a great rest of the session.
all right.
And a reminder on the chat window, I just posted the feedback form. Please use that link and let us know what you thought of today's speech from Babu.